Okay. All right. With that, let's get started with our midwives. Let's meet our midwives. So first of all, let's meet Elena. Do you want to start out? Elena is a student midwife, and she's got some exciting things coming up. So Elena, we will hand it over to you.
Hello. Bear with me. Because I'm a student, I felt the need to do a PowerPoint because that's what we do. Right. So as Debbie said, my name is Elena Kirkove, and I am located in Moody County, South Dakota, which is about 15 miles southwest of Brookings. I live out in the country, and we've been there for about 25 years. This is a picture from my deck. So I am mom to 8 kiddos, ranging in age from 8 to 30, and I have 3 grandchildren. This is a picture of all my kids, my 3 grandchildren, and my son-in-law. I personally have had wonderful natural births in and out of the hospital, so I have both of those experiences. I have been in the birth community since the 1990s, working as a childbirth educator, breastfeeding consultant. I've done breastfeeding trainings. In the last 14 years, I have been a doula and done craniosacral therapy with an emphasis on babies and pregnant women. So right now, as Evie said, I am in school. I have about 3 weeks left of my didactic classes, and I'm in my final clinic. When I'm done, I will be a certified professional midwife. So I'm enrolled in a MEEC school and currently attending Southwest Tech. So being in a MEEC school, it basically means that like everybody else who goes to college, I do in-person classes, we do them via Zoom, we go to the college campus, we learn how to do IVs, use the microscope, all those fun things. And also, you know, through all of that, we are trained as to do resuscitation, learned NRP, which is resuscitating babies, been trained in how to do suturing and blood draws, as well as reading labs, all that good stuff. Because there hasn't been a whole lot of access to out-of-hospital midwives in South Dakota, I had to leave to do my training. So I've been everywhere from New York to Indiana to Minnesota to Wisconsin. And unlike Eastern South Dakota, everywhere I've been so far has had trees. And this is Wisconsin right here. And so when I am done with my schooling, hopefully my last clinic will be done by February. Cross my fingers, there's so many variables with when moms have babies and all that good stuff. Then all my paperwork goes to the national certifying body of NARM. NARM right now is taking an average of 2 to 4 months to decide whether or not your paperwork is in order before you can even sit for your test. So when I start practicing will be kind of at NARM's discretion. So I'm hoping by summer, fall at the absolute latest. So during my time as a doula and a midwifery student, I've had the opportunity to attend about 200 births. Most of those births were unmedicated, hands-off births, but I also have experience with epidurals. I've been in C-sections, inductions, so I'm well acquainted with the hospital as well. So my plan right now is to work within a radius of about 100 miles from my home. This map is kind of a general area. It's not to scale. And that would get me to Watertown, Huron, Mitchell, Sioux Falls, Brookings. In Minnesota, it would be like Laverne, Marshall, Granite Falls. And those would be, obviously, at this point in time, home births. So I plan on incorporating into my practice my experience with craniosacral breastfeeding support. I have extensive knowledge with herbs, homeopathics, nutrition. So all of that will be part of it. My current practice is Renew, and through Renew, I've done craniosacral therapy, breastfeeding support, doula services. And I will continue as Renew when I'm done. And here is how you can contact me if you want to and talk more. I'm on Facebook under Renew. Let me. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elena. We are so excited that we're going to have you soon. That's really super exciting. So yeah. I'm very excited for Brookings and the surrounding area. You're going to be a wonderful asset. So, okay, next, let's go with Autumn. Want to share with us?
Hello, everyone. It's really fantastic to be invited here today. So my name is Autumn Cavender Wilson. I'm located out of Granite Falls, Minnesota. And I have been involved in birth work since I was about 17 years old, when I started apprenticing with a home birth midwife in Minneapolis. And then I became a doula, and then I finished school in Minnesota, and then I went and finished my midwifery education at Maternidad La Luz in El Paso. So I did their program, and I was there for about 13 months. Before I moved back home. I'm originally from Granite Falls, and so that is when I opened up my own practice in 2014, and have kind of never looked back, which is really fun and really awesome. And so it's really crazy to me now. I just had my 30th birthday, and I'm like very floored that I can say I've been doing birth work now for over a decade, specifically midwifery work, and that kind of freaks me out a little bit. So to answer some other questions that have kind of come up, I also I serve with Debbie Pease on the South Dakota Board of CPMs, of Certified Professional Midwives, and so I'm, I do just want to say we owe such a huge debt of gratitude to South Dakota Birth Matters for all of the work that they have done. Getting, first of all, even getting the profession legalized in the state, and then getting the legislation pushed through, and then of course supporting the board, and now with the hearing screens, like, y'all are freaking awesome, and we love you to death. And so thank you so much for helping support us. And so, yeah, I'm also licensed in the state of South Dakota. I serve primarily the I-29 corridor in South Dakota, so anything of I-29 and east, from really Sisseton to Sioux Falls. And that's been my kind of my space. Now, obviously, there's always exceptions to that. I go into Brookings, into Watertown. I'm currently spending a lot of time in the Hayti area. But yeah, my practice is called Yellow Medicine Midwifery. And so you can contact me at yellowmedicinemidwifery@gmail.com. I can also send along my phone number to South Dakota Birth Matters, so it can be posted. And I can be found on Facebook as well under Yellow Medicine Midwifery. Some of the questions that kind of came up before this meeting, talking about what exactly midwives can do and what exactly they're certified to do. So just to kind of give a little bit of background, in order to maintain your CPM credential, you have to maintain both CPR and NNR credentialing or education, licensure, certification. So obviously CPR and then NNR is the neonatal resuscitation. That equipment is required to be carried to every single birth. I will say that in rural hospitals, some of the places when I've had to transport clients, or even, in my work as a doula working in very rural areas, sometimes I am actually the only person in the room with NNR certification. And so it's, I think there's a lot of propaganda out about midwives not being qualified or not being certified or not having the necessary know-how. But particularly in deep rural spaces, sometimes we are the only ones with a particular set of skills in the room, even after we've transported people. So there's a whole litany of different pharmaceuticals that midwives can carry in the state of South Dakota. Those can be found online, though everyone should really talk to what midwife they're working with to see what medications that they carry, because not everybody carries all the things. And so, yes, I mean, I think the vast majority of us have had to do a lot of emergency handling of different situations in out-of-hospital situations, knowing that we are the most qualified healthcare provider sometimes within a radius of 60 to 70 miles. And so that, it definitely does complicate our practice, particularly in rural areas. And I think in South Dakota right now, one of the big things that I personally am trying to work with, and that I know a lot of other midwives are also trying to work with, is building up good relationships with the hospitals and the physicians in the area and in the state, because there is a lot of propaganda that we're not qualified to do the things that we do. And our clients aren't always treated particularly well, and we are not always treated particularly well when we go into hospital settings. We're hoping to really change that, because it's best for client care when everyone's treated respectfully, which is fantastic. So I personally don't have a formal relationship with a consulting physician, but I do informally work with a couple of doctors in the area who I can call if I have questions or am needing recommendations, and I often send clients directly to them to get things like specialty labs, or if I need a consult done for a particular practice. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me as of this moment, though I'm happy to stay on and field some questions later.
Awesome. Thank you, Autumn. Okay, next, do we have Luann? Are you on? Luann Uriel?
You see me?
Okay, if you start talking, then we should be able to see you.
Do you see me? See me?
There we go. Yep.
Do you see me?
Yep, we can see you, Luann. It says that your network bandwidth is low, so it might be a little bit slow. So I think that is what is happening. But I mean, I can see you. So,
Luann, if you shut your video off, a lot of times that will help if the internet is having issues.
Okay, well, is it not live now?
no, it's live.
Is this better? Can you hear me better?
We can hear you. Yep.
Okay, so hello everybody. I am so happy to be back in South Dakota. My video is a little sketchy because I'm in an RV at a campground right now, so it kind of does go in and out. Let's see, what do you guys want to know about me? Well, I was here and had a home birth practice in 2016, a little bit in 2015, 16, 17. And have been wanting to come back, and it's looking like it's happening finally. I am here in Rapid City right now, and accepting new clients. I'm a nurse midwife. I've been in practice for over 30 years, in a lot of variety of settings: hospital, birth center, and home birth. I would say that probably 2/3 of my practice has been out of hospital. And I don't know, I just love home birth. I had 6 kids myself. They were all planned home births, and with the exception of the first one that we had to go to the hospital for 3 days of ruptured membranes, as we know happens sometimes. The others were successful. I'm just finishing up, as I'm re-entering in South Dakota, I'm finishing up a contract in Michigan also where I'm in a home birth practice, and have been really enjoying learning new things, because as midwives, we're always learning. You never arrive at a point that you don't know, that you know everything. Let me see, what else can I say? I like to be, probably like all of you, we want to respect decision making with our clients. We want them to participate. We don't want them to feel pressured. We want to give them, the benefit of our knowledge and experience, but we want to make the birth experience safe and, a happy experience for them. I'm really excited to see all the people coming back to home birth with the COVID situation. I know it's kind of a sad reason why, but I just hope that it'll sort of catch on and people will see that it's such a wonderful way to have your baby, and hopefully we'll keep these numbers up. I do cover quite a large area. I do home visits. I'm right now in Rapid City, but got quite a few clients up in Spearfish, Belle Fourche. I cover Hot Springs. I'm in Wyoming too, Newcastle, Gillette. So I try to, like I said, I'm looking for my kind of permanent housing. I don't know when I'll be in permanent housing, but I do have a little RV, a 22-footer, so I can sort of locate myself in areas, even if they're far out. And that's a whole different ball game for me, from when I was here before. And I don't know, I'm open for any questions. I don't know if I've covered everything. I've been working with a couple of really wonderful girls, Jennifer McCormick, who's been my birth assistant for a long time. She's a doula too. And I've been working with Annette Weller, and she's been helping out, seeing some people for some prenatal visits until I'm here permanently, which should be March forward. I mean, I am here this month, I'm here in December and parts of January, and then March onward. So I look forward to meeting all of you. It's nice to see your faces. I've seen your names. And thank you, Evie, so much for, there's been a little bit of confusion about whether I'm registered as the home birth midwife or not. And since I was here, I guess the Board of Nursing was asked to put up a list of people who are out of hospital certified or registered. And so I wasn't aware that that was something that was needed. And thanks, Evie, for letting me know kind of at the last minute so I could participate here. So I am registered. I have been all the time, registered to do home births. And I'm also licensed in Wyoming, as I mentioned. And I'd be interested in one of those hearing screens. We do them in Michigan also. And I would really love to add that to my portfolio. I think that's it for now.
Awesome. That was perfect timing. My timer literally went off right when you said that. So that was perfect timing. Thanks, Luann. Okay. All right. Thank you, Luann, for telling us about yourself. I wanted to give an update for a couple midwives who aren't able to be here today. So the first one is Jackie Lopez. She is with Rose Mountain Midwifery out of Gillette, and she's not able to join us today, but she did want to make sure that everybody knows that she, basically what her status is. She had a baby in late August, and so she's kind of been on maternity leave for a while, and now she will be starting to take up some kind of a lower volume of clients, she said, for next year. For the first half of the year, she will not be traveling outside of Gillette, which is understandable with a newborn, very much so. And then after that, she said she'll go as far as Spearfish. So not super far into the state at that point. But she does serve some of our South Dakota clients, or some of our South Dakota families. So we wanted to make sure that you guys all know about her. And if you are in that area and you're wanting to see her for your services, she does ask that people come to Gillette for their prenatal care, except for the late third trimester home visit, of course. And then she does also have a one-room birth suite in Gillette that is available for deliveries as well. So just know that she's also another option if you're on the far west side of the state. And then another update I wanted to give is from a midwife who is living in Yankton, and she's planning to do some out-of-hospital births. Her name is Ivy Big, and I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name. It's Bigge, and she will be starting up her practice sometime in the near future. She is not 100% sure when that will be, but she is planning to attend out-of-hospital home births. And let's see, she told me a couple of things. She doesn't have a timeline nailed down, but she's hoping to possibly take some summer, maybe 2021, due dates within an hour or so drive of Yankton. So she's just in the very beginnings of getting started with opening her midwifery business. So Ivy, I know that you were on for a little bit. I don't know if you're still on, but welcome. She's at work today, so she wasn't going to be able to talk. But thank you so much for opening another midwife business here in South Dakota. We're excited to just continue and to keep welcoming more midwives because we need them. And kind of like Luann mentioned, especially with COVID, it has really increased the amount of moms who are looking into, families that are looking into delivering their babies, giving birth at home. And so we're really, really happy that we have more options, and that midwives are able to, cover all of our rural state areas. So yay, Ivy and Becky, awesome. Okay, so next up, let's see, I don't have a specific order that we're gonna go in. How about Anne? Are you on?
I am. Hi, thank you so much. So my name is Ann Wilde. I live in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. I am with Embrace Birth Care LLC. I was approached about a year ago, maybe 2 even, time flies when you're having fun, to help serve South Dakota. And it's been an honor and privilege, really. I've got to see a lot of landscape that I normally wouldn't have been able to see. So you guys have some really beautiful sunsets at times. Currently I'm doing 3 to 5 births a month. And I've been booking up pretty quick recently. I've been practicing solo since 2017 when I moved to Minnesota. I attended midwifery school at Birthwise in Maine, roughly since 2014, starting my education. I've attended roughly 350 to 400 out-of-hospital births. I predominantly trained in freestanding birth centers along with home birth. My jam is water birth, so if you're interested in water birth, I predominantly do water birth. Fun fact, basically all of my South Dakota clients have birthed in water, except for one. Let's see, I've attended 29 home births this year, 3 VBACs, 2 which were in South Dakota, so go South Dakota on your VBACs. 9 of those births were first-time mamas, and I had 1 postpartum transfer, not critical due to me actually getting ill and then calling it and saying, I want you to have the best care. And that transfer ended up going really well. That provider was really respectful. I wouldn't say we're besties by any means, but we were welcomed and it was well received. Let's see here. Yeah. want to vote on myself. Questions? Yep, I am NRP certified, CPR certified. I don't have a consulting physician that I primarily consult with in South Dakota due to the climate. But I am willing to call up anybody that is on call OB and have a conversation about your care if that's what's needed. Let's see, what else can I say? Currently, right now, yeah.
Yeah, could you remind me again what NRP certification means? I know Autumn talked about it, but
Autumn is, oh yes, she used NNR, I use NRP. It's the neonatal resuscitation program. And so that is a program that helps midwives with resuscitating a baby. Say a baby is born and a baby needs some help breathing, or their cardiac status, their heart is not beating. That would be the midwife stepping in and helping to breathe for your baby and stabilize your baby's heart rate and getting you to the nearest hospital.
Okay,
Thank
you.
Yeah. And so with that, equipment would be a bag and mask, which I should have brought one, could have showed you guys. Some midwives carry cardiac stimulating drugs like epinephrine if your babies would need a little bit of a jump start. Usually babies just need a few breaths, either it be via mama helping baby to breathe mouth to mouth, guided by the midwife, or the midwife using a bag mask, right? And then if it's an extensive resuscitation, then your midwife definitely would be stepping in and doing assessments and supporting your baby. So what's the other thing that I wanted to say here? Sorry, I wrote down like a bunch of notes, and 2 a.m. while hanging at a birth, trying to prep and organize. One thing that I did not share. My practice is really currently going through some really massive changes. I recently partnered up with a certified nurse midwife out of Minnesota, partially due to having women in dates on South Dakota side and then women in dates on Minnesota side. And so I'm happy to announce that we're going to have coverage. So that'll be really exciting. Currently, she's not licensed in South Dakota, so I will be managing all the South Dakota clients at this time. So the other piece I wanted to add is that I'm not taking clients over the winter months due to highways shutting down and having issues accessing clients through the winter months because the roads can get pretty brutal. So typically summer through fall months for our practice. So thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Anne. We're so happy that you are here and so many of us are here. Autumn, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just kind of wanted to add a little piece about the NNR or NRP that I think is important to realize is that every single L&D team, regardless of whether they're in out of hospital situation or in hospital, is required to have NRP certification. So this is something that nurses, like state-of-the-art NICUs and high-end urban hospitals, every single one of them is required to have NRP. Midwives specialize in doing it in out-of-hospital situations, which makes our NRP training different, to say the least. But just to understand that this is not something that just midwives are required to carry. This is anybody who's working on a pediatric team, a neonatal pediatric team serving in birth. Because babies' circulatory systems and respiratory systems do not work the same way as the rest of us. And so it is a specific certification to try and get freshly born people up and running.
Awesome. Thanks for that
And
clarification, Autumn.
I'll add to that as well. I just renewed both my CPR and NRP certifications over the last couple months. And I think this is my 4th time renewing NRP, and I've had CPR for years, but my CPR took 3 hours, and that was, you know, infant resuscitation as well. My just NRP class was 8 hours specifically for out of hospital birth. So that kind of gives you an idea of what that, you know, there's a lot to do. And then Anne had mentioned the bag valve mask. Well, that's this. Basically, this goes on baby's mouth, and this just gives baby breaths. It can be attached to oxygen, which most midwives carry, not all, but that kind of gives you a visual there.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you for the clarification on all of that, you guys. It's really good to know how fully trained, and as a doula, of course, I've seen midwives and the equipment that they carry, and I can reassure everybody they are well equipped, and they are very, very knowledgeable, and they know what they're doing. So you can trust these midwives. They're awesome. Okay, moving on. Yami Cheney, are you on?
Hi guys.
Hi.
I'm coming to you from my office, or that's what my kids call it. We're on the road today, so I'm Tammy Cheney. I'm a certified nurse midwife. My home is in Platte, South Dakota. It's in the central southern part of the state. I'm rather newly licensed as a midwife. I've been in practice for a year. And I have a collaborator, that would be Cassie Applegate. And I also have a very lovely preceptor who trained me as well. She's on the call too, Chelsea Iverson. So good to see my girls. So I am not new to South Dakota or Birth Matters, though. I was actually on the board until 2010. At that time, I was a childbirth educator and a doula and a lactation educator. And our family went through some changes. And when I really was praying about what I should do, obviously that's 7 years before CPMs passed, and CNMs were actually able to practice out of hospital. We just didn't have any that were in our part of the state. We did have one over on the west side, all the way to the corner. So I prayed about it, and I just thought it was a pretty crazy idea, but God had me go back to school. So I went to nursing school, and I figured, you know, maybe one day, maybe Birth Matters might need some certified nurse midwives to help out along the way. So anyway, it's been a long journey. I don't really recommend it for anybody. It was actually, I never really had any concerns that I wouldn't pass or make it or get accepted into anything, but here I am. I'm a certified nurse midwife and a certified nurse practitioner with 2 master's degrees, 6 kids, a bunch of cats, the whole 9 yards. And I'm in my car a lot. I see women primarily 2 hours from Platte, although I will travel to Aberdeen. I think as we have more coverage in South Dakota, that'll help cut down on some of those distances. So Aberdeen, Pierre, Winter, Yankton, they're all Sioux Falls in my area. I take a limited number of patients a month. 4 would be appropriate. I try to stick to that. And then if I'm going to be in Aberdeen for a birth, if you've called me first, then I'm not going to be, you know, in Winter at the same time for another birth. Although babies come, you know, not on their due dates, and they can overlap some. It's just not my practice to be on the road that much if I know we need to be in one area. And what I've found with our home birth midwives, with our home birth moms, is they either want to have their babies in a hot second, or they really want to have a long and gentle birth. So there doesn't really seem to be any middle of the road. But if you're the hot minute, we better have a midwife who's closer than 2 or 3 hours away. So I like to just kind of be close if we need that. We've already heard, so CNMs also have out of hospital guidelines, and you can just Google that. We're required to carry resuscitation equipment, to have NRP certification. We're also required to have 2 people at the birth that are NRP certified. So we're not just there on our own. I don't consult with an MD. I mostly consult with CNMs, although I don't have a problem with any of the docs. A lot of my patients will, you know, start out probably seeing their regular providers and transfer sometime in their care. I think it's always good to have an open communication with that provider, as long as, you know, you chose them in the beginning, that it's a good way to make some inroads for midwives in South Dakota. They still put in their notes that they have to caution the patient against all the 40 ways you could die having a home birth. But actually, I've had really good conversations with most of those doctors who, you know, are happy to acknowledge that their patient seeing me as their midwife is probably going to be in good hands. So that feels good. And I think those little steps just come along the way a little at a time. I do have a background as a childbirth educator and doula, so I have some extensive birth history in South Dakota, probably since the late 90s. I've attended over 500 births before I got to midwifery school. That's as a doula in and out of hospital. And then my background just as a person, part of Birth Matters and a homeschooler and a home birther, 4 of them myself, is that, you know, while we respect the medical community, we probably thought we could cure everything but cancer with garlic oil and oil of oregano for about 17 years. So I do have a healthy respect for natural medicine, holistic care, and herbal remedies and nutrition. And I think that's a piece of midwifery that, you know, you don't get at the medical side of things. We talk a lot about nutrition. All of my patients are up the wazoo with all the water I'm making them drink and all the protein they have to have. But when they have their babies and then they're breastfeeding, I know for sure that they're well hydrated. Their iron counts look good. I do order labs and ultrasounds and medications, but I carry herbs, and I believe in the body's ability to do amazing things as well. We didn't talk very much about aftercare, and that's something so far that's kind of been missing. You know, we see the patients for the regular course of their prenatal visits, and then so much now is being mentioned about the 4th trimester. You know, we see our moms like crazy, and then we give them their baby, you know, and then we come back later. And I think that that's something that's different for midwives. You're our patient and you're a part of our heart, and we want to make sure that you're successful in your breastfeeding, in your care, in your recuperation. And really those first 10 weeks of you having a new baby are very eventful, as much so as the first 10 weeks before you have the baby. So I find that I set my minimum standards for postpartum care for my moms, but that I'm just available for them, and questions come up mostly about cord care, but other things too. And I just want them to know that really we're on a journey towards parenthood, and that's what we're here for, just to support them in that. So that's me. I'm traveling quite a bit, but if you want on my schedule, you have to call early. And I actually have a whole bunch of people I haven't called back yet, but I'm working on it. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. Okay, I just want to throw this out there. We're still working on our fundraisers. So if you haven't taken the time or been able to take the time to give to our fund, we would ask that you take just a minute right now and help us to continue what we have started in South Dakota Birth Matters. And I just want to say thank you so much to all of these wonderful midwives who have already shared with us and the ones to come as well. We've still got several to meet. So let's move on with that. Actually, maybe we should interrupt this for a minute. Debbie and Julie, do we want to do another drawing right now?
Hello. All right, we've kind of, the midwives are so engaging that nobody's been donating very much, but we understand. So total, we have 10 people that have donated for a total of $660. So we're very blessed, and we hope a few more of you can donate as well. And our decal will go to Sue Engelman from Brookings, South Dakota. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue. Awesome. Okay, next, how about we hear from Carrie Nye? Is that how you said, or Nay?
You were right the first time. It's Carrie Nye.
Nye. Thank you. Welcome, Carrie.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Carrie Nye. I am one of the midwives at Promise Community Health Center. We are located in Northwest Iowa in Sioux Center, and currently there are 2 practicing midwives at our clinic. It's me and Belinda Lassen. Belinda's been a midwife for 30 years. She's got a wealth of experience, and I had the very, very lovely privilege of working with her when she practiced in the hospital in Sioux Center as a hospital midwife. She's a CNM and wanted to be here today, but wasn't able to. Anyway, so I practiced with her as a nurse for 15 years at the Sioux Center Hospital and learned the midwife way. I think all of us nurses at the time we all were taught that that was just how birth happened and birth was, and that was a normal thing for us to understand, that natural approach, and that this isn't a sickness and not an illness. It's, you know, that the midwifery approach. And so I practiced with her for 15 years as a nurse at the hospital there, and then she had some political issues with some of the new doctors that didn't feel the same way about birth, and so she moved on to Promise Community Health Center, where we currently work together. And I worked as a nurse there with the midwives as their birth assistant for 5 years. And so after 20 years of being a nurse, I decided that midwifery was definitely my calling as well. And so in 2019, I graduated and passed my boards as a certified nurse midwife, and was very, very blessed to be welcomed to work as a midwife at Promise in Sioux Center, and joined the home birth practice, from which I just absolutely fell in love with home birth and everything that entails. I did my clinical rotation at Sanford and Sioux Falls, and so got to know a lot of the midwives there that really do a great job and are very, I learned so much from them. But the last probably month, things have changed a little at Promise. One of our midwives has retired, and it was kind of suddenly. She decided she wanted to spend more time with her grandkids. And so we did actually just hire on Audra DeGroat. She was a midwife at Avera, and then she was a midwife at Sanford. She had her 5th baby and took some time off. And now that we had an opening, we added her onto our roster. She will not be doing home births for a considerable amount of time due to a non-compete clause that Sanford has. That's 2 years, which is crazy. So it will be until next summer that she will be able to take on her own clients. But currently, Belinda and I, we usually take on between 4 and 6 births a month. We practice out of the clinic. We have a really, really great opportunity as home birth midwives to be able to see our patients in one location, which is nice. Our clients come to us, which is, it's really nice. We don't have to do as much driving. We also are able to provide a discount for women who qualify. If they're low income, we're able to take Medicaid and we are insured by the FQHC, which is fabulous to have that for ourselves as midwives. So yeah, we take on 4 to 6 a piece, each of us. Sometimes it gets to be more than that. If we have repeaters come in, we usually don't ever say no to moms that are having their 2nd or 3rd or 4th baby with us. We definitely, we love to be able to have that ability to see more clients and not have to be driving all over the place. But at the same time, it does take away a little bit of that in the home care that I really, really do love. So we do 1 home visit for our mamas around 36, 37 weeks. We come to your home. We go through like the birth supply list. We talk about what this birth looks like in your home, talk about different things just to prepare for the birth, positions, different things in your home that work. We talk about if you want to do a water birth or not. We have birth pools that we are able to rent out to our mamas and offer that service. Love water birth. I think water birth is a fabulous way to take care of that pain. It's really a great option to decrease the amount of discomfort towards the end of that labor process. So then when it comes to the birth, we come with a second nurse always. We always have two trained NRP providers at every birth. Kind of in our bag, what we bring along, we take along oxygen, we take along medications in case you would bleed, we take along IV supplies, we take along antibiotics in case you would be strep positive. We take along all of those things that, we really kind of, we talk about how we kind of take along a portable labor and delivery room. Almost everything that's available at the hospital, we take along. Except for the operating room. If it gets to be to that point, we obviously can't go that far, but we definitely bring along all the things and are prepared. We're very well prepared for emergencies should they come up. For collaboration, we don't need to have a collaborating physician. We are independently practicing providers, but our medical director at Promise is Belinda's husband, so that's kind of a perk. So we can ask him with any questions, or if we have anything that's complicated during prenatal care, we always have him right in our back pocket. But we also have a really good relationship with the MFMs up in Sioux Falls at Avera and Sanford, that if we have anything come up, we don't hesitate to collaborate with them if we need to. So then the birth.
Hey, Carrie.
Yeah.
Your 5 minutes are already up. I hate to.
Sorry.
I know. That's okay. It went really fast.
It did.
If you want to wrap it up just quick, I'll let you. Yeah.
Yes. So we do 1 home visit afterwards, and we have you come back to the clinic for the metabolic screening results and weight check and hearing screen at the clinic. And then we definitely take care of you through the postpartum period. But that's really all of it. Thanks for cutting me off. That was good.
I'm sorry. I hate to cut you guys off because I just want to keep hearing from all of you. Okay. I do have a question for you though. Is Belinda on today? Did she want to introduce herself, or was she not able to?
Nope.
Okay.
She was traveling today. So
Gotcha.
she told me to give, so I'm really talking for 2 people. So I should get 10 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
I'm joking.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. I appreciate it. Okay, so we've got a few left here. Annette, would you like to pop on now?
All right, I'm unmuted now. Can everyone hear me? Okay, hopefully it will be quiet. My dog decided to bark. Someone walked in the door. So it's been so great to meet everybody. I'm pretty new in this community. I'm a student still, but I'm really excited to meet everybody that's here in South Dakota and hear the work that they're doing. And I've been working with Cassie Applegate of Apple Tree Midwifery for the last 3.5 years, doing home births and have really come to love it. So as I'm finishing up my clinicals with my nurse midwifery program at Frontier, I have decided to move forward with my own home birth practice. So a little bit about me. I live in Hermosa, South Dakota in the foothills. My husband, Sean, and I have been married 30 years this month. My husband and I have 12 children, and these little guys here are our grandchildren. And we actually have a couple more that arrived this fall. So we have 12 grandchildren as well, and we enjoy them very much. My personal birth experiences started out in Tennessee. I'm from Pennsylvania. We moved to South Dakota about 7.5 years ago. But for the first 2 children that we had, we lived in Tennessee, and I had hospital births there. And then we moved back to Pennsylvania, and I had 7 of our babies at a freestanding birth center in Reading, Pennsylvania, which was absolutely amazing. I had amazing midwives, and that's where I really decided that someday I wanted to be a midwife, but that wasn't to be for a long time. And then we moved away from that birth center, and I had my last 3 babies at a hospital, and unfortunately the last 2 were C-sections. But our children are all very healthy, and we're very blessed. So I started out as a nurse 30 years ago. I became an LPN. Then in 2013, I became an RN. I had taken some time off to stay at home and raise my children, and we've always homeschooled and still are. I became a labor and birth doula in 2013, and also a lactation certified lactation counselor. I started with Frontier in 2018, so this is I'm just ending 3 years of study with Frontier, and I anticipate graduating with my certified nurse midwifery degree later this winter, and then I want to pursue my women's health nurse practitioner certificate in the spring. I'm currently doing clinicals. I'm about 2/3 of the way through. I've been working at Rushmore OB with Dr. Whaley and Dr. Schmegel, and also at Black Hills OB with Chelsea and Cassie Applegate, who are wonderful midwives, and I look forward to consulting with them in the future. So I've worked at hospitals. I've done home health care. Here in Rapid City, I've worked in pediatrics, the NICU, OB, labor and delivery, and the emergency departments, and they've all been tremendous experiences, really helped build my skills and my confidence. I am NRP and ACLS certified. I see a little typo in my PowerPoint here. I've also been a doula for a few years, and as I said earlier, a home birth assistant for Cassie Applegate in Apple Tree Midwifery. And I've supported families at over 300 births. I haven't really kept count, but I know it's at least that many. My philosophy is that birth is a normal physiological process, not a medical emergency, and that home birth is a safe and reasonable option for healthy women with a low-risk pregnancy. That women should be supported, educated, and empowered as partners in their health care. That continuity of care and interpersonal relationships are key to best outcomes, and collaboration with other members of healthcare teams provide optimal care when specific needs arise. So my plan is right now, I'm just kind of getting the word out there that I am soon to be graduating. I am open to meeting with people who would like a home birth this spring or moving forward, just to discuss their options and what I have to offer. And in the meantime, of course, I would recommend that they seek prenatal care with one of the great practices in Rapid. And I would also be interested in taking home birth clients in Wyoming. I have attended some home births as an assistant in Wyoming and really enjoyed it. So I plan to cover anything from the Hot Springs area up to Spearfish, and then west into Wyoming and Hewlett, Sundance, Newcastle, and those areas. So I think that's everything I have to say, unless if anybody has any questions, and it's just really great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Annette, for sharing with us. And we're so excited that we're going to have more midwife care in your area. That's just super exciting. So I am, boy, the way that midwifery has grown in South Dakota in the past few years is just amazing to me. I just love it. And I'm so excited that we continue to get more students coming in and more midwives planning to move to the area. I know that there are a couple that I've heard of and just starting new practices and covering more areas. And I'm just pleased as punch. And I know that I'm not the only one. There's a reason that we have the group that we do, and there's a lot of support for you guys. So thank you so much. And Debbie Eats, are you on?
I'm here.
You are. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Debbie, you're muted, I think.
Now am I unmuted?
You're unmuted now. Yep, we
There
can
we
hear you.
go.
Thank
So
you.
so you probably didn't hear anything I said, so reboot.
Nope.
So I'm Debbie Eeks. I'm a student midwife as well. And I have a 501c3 called El Nido. El Nido means the nest, and it's part of my name because it represents my Mexican heritage, my childhood home, and my personal experiences. The mission and vision of El Nido is we build relationships with women, we deliver lives, and we're talking about physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I work with a lot of women who are hurting in my area, and we educate for the future, empowering women and their family members to support themselves in the future. Our vision is to provide education and to provide emotional, physical, social, and spiritual support. Our values is that God is our Father and the guiding source of care, wisdom, and love. Birth is a blessed, natural, and emotionally empowering experience. It's also we have a strong partnership with most of our clients. And our goal is to provide high quality care, provide a safe and supportive environment for those who choose home or hospital, and provide training opportunities for young women and men. My husband and I are the co-founders of El Nido. We have support personnel, and these are the women that help us. We have doulas, doulas in training, which has been fun with COVID because we can't really do that right now. Certified lactation counselors, we've got 4 currently, 2 here, 2 in California, and 2 more in training. We have 3 translators that are also training as doulas, and then childbirth educators. And my husband and myself as well. And my husband is a family practice doctor who does OB, and he did a fellowship in OB and C-section. He's certified. Our educational services are prenatal. We talk about physical and emotional changes, pregnancy, nutrition, common discomforts. Childbirth education, we talk about how to go through labor, what to expect in labor, whether you're at home or your hospital. And for parenting, we work with learning about newborn care, but we also take it all the way up to teens because I work as a restorative justice circle provider as well. We have mom-to-mom support groups. The mom-to-mom just kind of hooks up moms together with other moms, more experienced moms, to help them and answer questions. We have lactation support, as I said. Unfortunately, I specialize in tongue-tied, but not by my choosing. It's kind of like landed in my lap. We provide family support. We do restorative justice, as I said. Also, I provide supervised visits for those families that I work with who need supervised visits. We have labor doulas. I serve as a labor doula, and also postpartum doulas. I have a tendency to put postpartum doulas in because I feel the postpartum is really important time for moms. I will hopefully be finishing. I plan on turning in my last schoolwork in December, and hope to test in the first part of next year and then become licensed as soon as that happens. I've apprenticed with 6 midwives in total, 2 from this area. Autumn Cavender Wilson is one of them. She's in my area, and I've apprenticed with her since I got here in 2014. And then the other one is Eileen Carlson, and Eileen Carlson is with Tree of Life. She wasn't able to be here today because she's not feeling well. So I do have a public service announcement for her. So 30 seconds for her. She does 60 to 70 miles from her home, which is in Marshall, Minnesota. And her main hub is usually like in the Brookings area. Let's see. And as far as like where I'll be serving like the eastern part of South Dakota, mainly like Watertown, Brookings, those kinds of places. And my goal is really to offer women more opportunities to train, because we don't have enough midwives either in Southwest Minnesota or in southeastern or eastern South Dakota. This is my family at our last wedding. I have 7 children, 3 by birth, 1 at home, and then 4 by adoption. And then we have 6 grandchildren with 1 on the way. So that's our news for the year. I think everybody answered questions. I wrote down the questions that people asked. One of the questions that I haven't heard the answer to was, what experiences have you had where things don't progress as planned, and how did you handle those? So I've been involved in shoulder dystocias, hemorrhages, retained placentas. I don't normally do the transport, even though I get that person ready to go while the midwife is making conversation, the primary midwife, and then she goes with them, and then I'm usually packaging the person who's not going and getting them ready to transport by vehicle to follow, whether it's the baby or the mom. So I haven't actually had to interact with too many doctors in South Dakota. Minnesota, yes. South Dakota, no. So that's me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Debbie. And again, it's just so exciting that we have so many new midwives coming, and students and all of that. So thank you so much. Okay, so got a couple that are left here. We've got Cassie Applegate. You want to give us an update on what's going on with you?
Hello, I'm Cassie Applegate. Thank you for having us here. It's so nice to see a lot of familiar faces and new faces. It's so exciting to see midwifery grow in South Dakota. Just since I've been here in the past 4 years, it's grown a lot, which is amazing. I think when I moved here 4.5 years ago, it was me and 1 other midwife at the time. So very exciting to see all the midwives coming up and all of the options that women will soon have. That is has been a goal of mine for a long time. More midwives so that women actually have choices, which is very cool to see. So I have experience as a midwife with hospital, birth center, and mostly recently home birth with Apple Tree Midwifery. I started, I think, 4.5 years ago, and have been doing home births in the Black Hills, western side of South Dakota, and sometimes into Wyoming with the Amish community over there. But I've just loved it. I've loved doing home birth for the past 4.5 years. We do lots of water birth. I think about 80% of our births have been water birth. So we love that. Lots of repeat clients as well. So that's been really fun. And just recently, Chelsea Iverson and I joined together, and we're doing home births starting in February, until we were asked by a physician here in town to join Black Hills OB, which we started doing Chelsea earlier in the summer and me in the fall. So we were offering prenatal care through Black Hills OB and then hospital birth. But we are starting a freestanding birth center I'm so excited about. Hopefully it'll be finished by March is the goal, where we will, we've been trying to start this birth center since I moved to South Dakota 4 years ago, just to give women another option, because we really feel like women should have the choice of midwifery care either in the hospital, birth center, or at home. And with a birth center, we'll have another option for South Dakotans, and it will be the only birth center in the state of South Dakota as of now anyway. And our main purpose for wanting to start a birth center in the Black Hills was really, we felt like there was a lack of a community for pregnant women and breastfeeding and parenting. If you were looking for those kind of options for classes or resources, you had to be really self-motivated to find that in the Black Hills. And with the birth center, we felt like we could kind of put everything under one roof and have classes and breastfeeding support and just more long-term parenting support for our moms. And also, with it being so rural, we do take a lot of clients from Nebraska and Wyoming and Montana. And a lot of times women would just rent a cabin in the area and have a home birth here. But with a birth center, I think it'll be more accessible for women who are in a location where maybe there isn't a home birth midwife, or it's not legal to have a home birth midwife like in Nebraska, where they can come up here and have a birth center birth and then go home shortly after. And the way that we view our birth center is that, of course, for those of you who aren't familiar with freestanding birth centers, we think of it very much like home birth, except instead of us bringing all of our supplies and going to your home, you come to our home, and it will be set up very beautifully with 2 birth suites, a family room, big classroom space, beautiful living room, kitchen area to make it feel as homey and natural as possible. We ordered our big, beautiful birth tubs recently as well, so we're very excited about that. And I didn't put a PowerPoint presentation together, but we did just do a chat with Black Hills Birth Network recently, which I think it's on their page, and it's also on Apple Tree Midwifery's Facebook page. If you want a longer, detailed version of what we're planning on doing, what the rooms will look like, the birth tubs we're getting, who would be good candidates for birth center birth. And as far as safety goes, of course, same with birth center birth, normal low-risk moms, normal low-risk babies. We will have all of the emergency equipment there, but tucked away and hidden so that it just looks like a normal bedroom with a big birth tub in the middle of it and a private bathroom. But if we need those emergency supplies, we will have them. It'll be, I think, about 6 minutes from the hospital, which will be nice and close. And Chelsea and I do have hospital privileges as well. So the beautiful thing about that is if we did ever need to transfer any of our moms, which again is very rare, as we all know, but if we did need to transfer or they became high risk in their pregnancy for whatever reason, we can still attend their birth in the hospital setting, which I think will be amazing just for that continuity of care so that we don't feel like we're just dropping them off in the emergency department. We can actually follow them through and attend their birth in the hospital if needed. And again, if they were high risk in pregnancy and maybe risked out of home birth or birth center birth, we could attend their birth as midwives in the hospital. So I think it'll just be so nice to have true options for women who are wanting midwifery care in whichever setting they're hoping for. We will be accepting insurance as well, which has been a deterrent for a lot of women for having out-of-hospital birth. So we're very excited about offering insurance coverage at the birth center, which I think will help a lot of women who just can't afford paying out of pocket for their natural midwifery attended birth. So that's kind of the gist of it. And we do have a lovely collaborating OB who's just very midwifery friendly, midwifery supportive, and has just been nothing but supportive of us and our women. So that has been lovely. And yeah, we work with maternal fetal medicine occasionally as well. So I feel like we have a really good setup to provide the best care we can for women who will be wanting this option.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Cassie. And I know that Chelsea is on too. Chelsea, do you want to introduce yourself and if you have anything to add to what Cassie just shared?
Can you see me or hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I'm not very good with electronics, so
that's all right.
Yeah, so I think Cassie covered a bunch of the things that I, think that we should talk about. But so I'm Chelsea Iverson, and I'm a midwife in Rapid City. I started actually attending births as a nurse in the home birth setting, in the birth center setting with Jeannie Prentice when she was working over here as a nurse midwife. So I kind of got into home birth or out of hospital birth through her. And then I went back to school to become a nurse midwife. And so finished up with that about 2016. And then I worked at Native Women's Healthcare as a nurse midwife and did hospital birth for them through Monument Health in Rapid City. And I did that for about 3.5 years or so, and then left that practice and joined up with Cassie Applegate at Apple Tree Midwifery. And then, like she said, we did some home birth together until we joined up with Black Hills OB and Dr. Beener there to start this birth center project. And so I think she covered most of the things. The clinic structure, kind of how we're doing our prenatal visits, is through Black Hills OB. And so our moms are coming to Black Hills OB to get their prenatal care from us there. And then they are just having the option to decide if they want to have a hospital birth or if they want to have a birth center birth with us, with the midwives. And so that's kind of what that looks like. And then maybe one thing that we didn't chat about is at the birth center, or maybe Cassie did mention this, but there will be 2 people attending the birth. So there will be a midwife that's present and then also a nurse that's present at each birth. And then she kind of mentioned the possibility of the midwife transferring to the hospital with moms if we did need to transfer out. There is kind of we have three physicians that we work with at Black Hills OB. So there's Dr. Beener, who's in our office with us, but then there's also Dr. Schmagel and Dr. Whaley through Rushmore OB that take call for Black Hills OB. So there is a possibility if we had to transfer that one of those physicians would be the physicians that we transferred to, who are also very lovely. So I feel like in the grand scheme of things, all of the physicians in town, we've really got a great group that moms may end up with at the hospital should we need to transfer. So they're very,